Good evening, students. So, in the series of the bones of upper limb, we'll now come to the next bone of the upper limb, that is the ulna, the friend of the radius, the medial bone of the forearm. When we had talked of the radius, I told you have to remember one sentence in your mind, that you will always keep it in your mind that radius is the lateral bone of the forearm. Similarly, when you are going to talk about the ulna, you are going to keep in your mind that ulna is the medial bone of the forearm. Okay. So this is how the ulna looks. It's a different bone than what bones we have talked of till now. Now this is a long bone, so it has two ends. This is the upper end, this is the lower end, and then you have the shaft in the between. Now both these ends are meaning they are different, as I told you. See, the upper end of the ulna does not have the head. The head of the ulna is down here at the lower end. Okay, and that you can see as a projection which is there at the back of the wrist. So this is the point where you will feel the head of the ulna. The upper end of the ulna does not have the head, but it has two notches and two processes. Okay, so the two notches which are there at the upper end of the ulna, this is called as the trochlear notch of the ulna, and then the other notch which you can see here is called as the radial notch of the ulna. So this is the trochlear notch and this is the radial notch of the ulna. So there are two notches and there are two processes at the upper end. This vertical process is called as the olecranon process and this horizontal process is called as the coronoid process. Okay, so that is what is there at the upper end. So it is slightly different. I am telling you, it is not the regular type of upper end which you have the head, neck and all those things. So this will have two processes and two notches, the olecranon process which is vertical and the coronoid process which is horizontal. It is coronoid process because there is coracoid process in the scapula, and two notches, trochlear notch and radial notch. Now first we'll finish up with the notches. The trochlear notch you can see here, it is beak shaped, it's a hollow cup shaped notch, and this is going to articulate with the trochlea of the humerus and take part in the formation of the elbow joint. And the second notch which is there here, which you can see, the radial notch, this is going to articulate with the circumference of the head of the radius, which I told you in the last video. This is going to articulate with the circumference of the head of the radius and form the superior radioulnar joint. Clear? So these are the two notches. Now the two processes, the first one is the olecranon process and the second one is the coronoid process. Now if you look at the olecranon process, it's the vertical process which is present here. So the point of the elbow is formed by the olecranon process. So this is the olecranon process. Now the olecranon process has 5 surfaces. Okay, anterior surface, posterior surface, then you have a medial surface here. Okay, this is the medial surface, here the medial surface, and the lateral surface. How can you identify medial and lateral surface? Remember that the radial notch is present laterally, so this is going to be the lateral surface and the other side will be the medial surface. So you will have anterior surface, posterior surface, superior surface, lateral surface here. So you can see the radial notch here, so that is the lateral surface, and then that is the medial process. Okay, so these are the 5 surfaces of the olecranon process. The coronoid process is the horizontal process which is there. It has 4 surfaces. Superior surface, just a second. The coronoid process has a superior surface, anterior surface, then you will have lateral surface here and medial surface. Clear? So these are the 4 surfaces of the coronoid process. Now we'll detail each of them. The olecranon process which I told you, superior surface of the olecranon process is subcutaneous. Okay, you can see this and you can feel this surface. The superior surface as well as the posterior surface of the olecranon process is subcutaneous. So superior surface is subcutaneous and posterior surface also is subcutaneous. Okay, then the medial surface is going to continue, the medial surface will continue as the posterior surface of the shaft. Okay, and then the lateral surface will continue as it will be here. It is going to continue as again as the posterior surface of the shaft. So these are the 5 surfaces, and the anterior surface of the olecranon process will take part in the formation of the upper margin of the trochlear notch. Okay, just a mild correction, the medial surface of the olecranon process will continue as the medial surface of the shaft, and the lateral surface of the olecranon process will continue as the posterior surface of the shaft. Okay, Just bear with me for 1 minute. This phone is slipping constantly. Just a second. Huh? Okay. So understood. I'll repeat one more time. The anterior surface will form the upper part of the trochlear notch. The posterior surface is subcutaneous. Superior surface again is subcutaneous. The lateral surface will continue as the posterior surface of the shaft, and the medial surface will continue as the medial surface of the shaft. So these are the 5 surfaces of the olecranon process. The coronoid process, which is there here, the superior surface of the coronoid process will form the lower margin of the trochlear notch. The anterior surface is roughened and it forms what is called as the ulnar tuberosity. Then you have the lateral surface, which has the radial notch, and the medial surface again here, which is going to continue as medial surface of the shaft. Clear? So this is about olecranon process and coronoid process, and I have already discussed about the 2 notches, the trochlear notch and the radial notch. Okay. Now you come to the shaft of the ulna. The shaft of the ulna has 3 borders and 3 surfaces. Now, like the radius, again you can see this one sharp border here. Now, because ulna is the medial bone of the forearm, this border is going to be the lateral border. Okay, this is the lateral border. Then this is also called as interosseous border. Then you have a border which is going here. You can see this border is the anterior border. This is straight in the upper part and it slightly curves down here. It slightly bends down and it goes towards a projection which is broken in this bone, but there is a projection down which is called as the styloid process of the ulna. So that is the anterior border, okay, which is straight, and then it slightly curves down and goes towards the styloid process. Then you can see the posterior border, which is the continuation of the posterior border of the olecranon process, and this goes straight down. You can feel the whole posterior border of the ulna in your own body also. It is subcutaneous. If you trace this olecranon process down, you will feel the whole of the posterior border of the ulna. Okay, and then you come to the lower end of the ulna. Between the borders you have the surface. I'm very sorry. Between the borders, the surfaces which are there, between the anterior border and the medial border, or the lateral border, you have the anterior surface. Okay. Then between the posterior border and the interosseous border is the posterior surface. Okay, and between the anterior and the posterior borders you have the medial surface. Okay, so this is the medial surface, this is the anterior surface, and here you can see this ridge which is going down. This is the posterior surface. Okay, I hope I am understanding. Okay, there were some technical problems in the beginning, but please bear with me. Okay, now one surface which is very interesting to understand is the posterior surface. Now I'll just mark this with some line here. If you can see here, I have marked 2 lines. There is an oblique line here which is marked here, and then there is a vertical line. You can see this. So the posterior surface, which is going to be between the lateral border and the posterior border, is divided into 2 parts. First, there is an oblique line. If you can, I can show you that oblique line, which is going to divide it into upper part and lower part, and the lower part is divided by a vertical line which I have drawn there with the chalk there into a lateral area and a medial area. Is this clear? So that is the peculiarity of the posterior surface which everybody should remember. So that is about the shaft. Now coming to the last part of the ulna, that is the lower end of the ulna. The lower end of the ulna has 2 things. It will have a head and a projection which is broken down in this is called as the styloid process. So these are only 2 things that remain, that are there in the the lower end of the ulna, the head of the ulna and the styloid process. This head of the ulna is going to articulate with the ulnar notch of the radius and form the inferior radioulnar joint. Is this clear? So that is about the osteology of the ulna. Now, if you have understood, as I have told you in the radius also, if you can understand all the features, you can identify which sided ulna this is. So this is the upper end, this is the lower end. The trochlear notch is going to face anteriorly. The posterior border, which you can see here, so that is anterior, that is posterior, and the sharp border, which is going to be lateral, and the bone is going to be medial. So this is going to be the left sided ulna. Okay, this is the sharp interosseous border, and this is the posterior border, and anterior and posterior, medial and lateral. So this will become the left sided ulna. Now we'll talk about the muscle attachments of the ulna. The muscle attachments of the ulna are, meaning in fact if you understand, the most important muscle or the major part of the ulna is occupied by one single muscle, that is flexor digitorum profundus. We'll come to that later, but going methodically, first the trochlear notch of the ulna will provide attachment to the capsular ligament of the elbow joint. Then this radial notch of the ulna will provide on its side. Remember, we had talked of the annular ligament. So annular ligament will start from one side, it will encircle the neck of the radius and come to the other side of the trochlear notch. So that is the annular ligament which is going to be attached here to the radial notch of the ulna. And then the attachments proper which are there on the olecranon process, the superior surface of the olecranon process, the posterior part of the superior surface will receive the insertion of triceps. So this is the triceps. You have to remember the triceps is inserted here, and it's a very important anatomical landmark because you take triceps jerk by hitting over the triceps tendon which is there here. So posterior part of the superior surface of the olecranon process is going to receive the insertion of the triceps. The rest of the superior surface is going to be covered by a bursa. Then anterior surface has nothing. Then if you talk about the medial surface here, the medial surface of the olecranon process is going to give origin to flexor digitorum profundus, and also it will provide insertion to the anconeus. Okay. Then there is the lateral surface which is here. If you can observe here, this is the radial notch of the ulna. Okay, and then you can see sharp line here. This sharp line is called as the supinator crest, and the triangular area just below this radial notch and this supinator crest will give origin to the supinator. So clear? So here you will have the origin of the supinator. Then we'll come back to the olecranon process here. The medial margin of the olecranon process will give origin to flexor digitorum profundus and also the pronator teres. So these are some major attachments in the olecranon process. Superior surface, posterior side will give insertion to the triceps. Anterior surface is going to take part in the formation of the elbow joint. Then the lateral surface, here I showed you that there is a supinator crest which is going to give origin to the supinator. Then the medial surface will have insertion of anconeus, and also the medial margin of the olecranon process will give origin to flexor digitorum profundus. Okay, so that is those are the attachments on the olecranon process. Now coming to the coronoid process, the medial margin of the coronoid process will give origin to the pronator teres again. Okay, and nothing much along the coronoid process. One more thing which I have told you here, the anterior surface of the coronoid process is called as the ulnar tuberosity, and this is going to give insertion to the brachialis. So this part of the olecranon process is going to give insertion to the brachialis. Okay, so these are the attachments on the olecranon process and the coronoid process. Then you come to the shaft. As I told you, the major muscle which will be there on the ulna is the flexor digitorum profundus. So I'll tell you the origin of the flexor digitorum profundus. It originates from the medial surface of the olecranon process, the medial margin of the coronoid process, the whole of the upper 3/4 of the anterior surface, the medial surface, and the posterior border of the ulna. Okay, so you can see the medial surface of the olecranon process, the medial margin of the coronoid process, the whole of the medial surface, upper 3/4 of the anterior surface, and also from the posterior border. So almost the whole of the ulna is occupied by flexor digitorum profundus. The muscle here on this side, the medial side, is going to be flexor digitorum profundus. Okay, so that is the major muscle which will be attached here. Then the lower part of the anterior surface here, which is going slightly oblique, you can see this oblique line here. So this is going to give origin to pronator quadratus, and this rest of the upper part is going to give origin to flexor digitorum profundus. Okay, then we have talked of this medial surface. The whole of the medial surface is going to give origin to flexor digitorum profundus, and then we have seen this posterior surface. Now this part of the posterior surface which is there, the lateral part of the posterior surface, is going to give origin to three muscles from above downwards. It will be abductor pollicis longus, extensor pollicis longus, and extensor indicis. So these three muscles will originate from the posterior surface of the shaft of the ulna. Is this clear to all of you? So this is about the short osteology of the ulna. I hope with this we have finished with the major bones of the upper limb. We are not going to go into the details of the carpals, metacarpals of the upper limb. So we have done clavicle, scapula, humerus, radius and ulna. I request all of you to please go through these bones. These are these are placed very easily. Whatever is clinically important, whatever is important from exam point of view, that has been stressed. No unnecessary details have been added here. I request all of you to visit my channel. Please like the videos, share the videos and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.